Alright, so today's venture, you can see I got here on the workbench, is the Viar 480C compressor. See if you can see that. Here, I'm using my phone here to see, because it's trying to control this camera. So the 480C compressor, we're going to rebuild this. I ordered a kit off of Amazon, and it comes with the, well, let's use the old parts that are not in bags. So it comes with the connecting rod, cylinder wall, and a head. I was a little disappointed to see it didn't come with the check valve plate, or the valve body plate, but this one is usable, so we're going to reuse this one. It does come with new gaskets. The old compressor, or the old connecting rod, and I actually did manage to harvest a new piece off of another one that I had lying around. But basically what happened was this compressor had a catastrophic failure of the reed plate that goes on top of the connecting rod. That it acts kind of like a check valve. When it goes down on the intake stroke, it allows air into the cylinder. And then when it comes up on the compression stroke, this little guy pushes closed over it and shoves it into the tank. So it acts like a check valve, but it's a metal reed, a little thin piece. This one completely blew out. The cylinder wall had some deep gouging in it. So after, I want to say about 30 minutes or so with a bunch of oil and a hone, I was able to get most of it out, but there is still, I don't know if you can see that, kind of hard to show. I'm going to try to put in the light. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if you can see that, but right, grab this little screwdriver here and use it as a pointer. So right about here, there's one gouge that travels the whole way that I'm just not going to be able to get that thing out. It's too deep without totally killing the cylinder. Now this guy here, I've already test fitted it. Is a little looser, but it is still a pretty good seal. So the honing went pretty good on this. However, I'm going to keep this as a spare part, since I did just order this kit. And this kit I got off Amazon. Like I said, it comes with the head, connecting rod, and cylinder. It doesn't come with this valve plate. And I tried to see about getting a new one, and I haven't been able to find one yet, but then again, I haven't really dug that deeply into it. We're going to use the new parts, and we're going to keep these as a backup if this stuff does go out on me again. One thing about these compressors is they're oil free, which, like any oil free compressor, they use a there's a type of seal on these that actually lubricates itself. It has like graphite as part of the seal, and this one here is pretty bad actually, come to look at it. But yeah, they pre-lube themselves. So although that one's still usable, don't get me wrong, it's not rubber. And this is what a new seal looks like. See how open it is? This is a 480C replacement connecting rod, and this I want to say is an old style 480C, or I got this off another compressor. They both are about the same, but look at this one. This one is way bigger. It's a brand new seal, so the seal's out a whole lot more, and you can see that too here in the cupping design, whereas this seal's kind of crushed in close. So these things here, I'm not sure how much these independently run for, but the kit itself, the cylinder, here, let me pop open this so you can see everything. And this is going to be a rebuild video, so if you're sitting here watching me yamble on about the parts, we're actually going to physically be putting this together. So alright, here's the new cylinder wall. Comes with two gaskets. Obviously one's going to go up top, one has to go on the bottom. Here's the head. I thought it would have came with a new gasket for that. I guess not. Oh yeah, it does. Yeah, it does. That was the thing. I was a little disappointed it didn't come with that reed valve, or that valve plate. But yet again, the only thing that valve plate is another reed. So brand new head. They give you new head bolts. Anybody knows anything about torquing head bolts is usually don't reuse the old ones, but these aren't under as much torque as an engine is. So, you know, they're, I think stainless grade 5. No, I think they're grade 8, or I'll take that back, like 10.9 metric. Let's get rid of all this plastic crap. Stuff out of the way. Okay, so these are fairly simple once you tear them apart. The one thing I will have to say is trying to get the old rod off these things can be a bitch at times. They tend to really get stuck on there. Be careful beating on these things, because this is the actual shaft going directly into the motor, and it's just sitting in 2 bearings, and the brushes and stuff are back here. So if you were to have to change the brushes out on this, you would do that now, mainly because the only way to disassemble this motor is to do it by taking these 2 bolts out, and you have to take these out from the front, which means you have to take all this stuff off anyways. We're not doing that because I've already been through this before, and the brushes are good. It's been cleaned up and re-greased on the bearings, so we're good there. One thing I do say when I'm putting these together is lube. These are oil free, but I always lube, because that definitely helps make these things slide better when you're putting them together. So the first thing here that we're going to do is we're going to put our new connecting rod into place. This has an little Allen set screw. I believe this is the size, yes. Okay, so the compressor here has a flat spot on one side, much like most shops are going to have something, either a keyway or whatever. So I'm just going to roughly line up that as centered as I can get it, push it all the way in. I'm going to let that dangle, and I'm going to try not to turn it, at least until I get this thing tight up against the, at least somewhat snugged. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pull it back off and just check the orientation. So we're there. So right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to tighten it. Don't be afraid to torque these. The last thing you want is that actually slipping vibration, and these are under a lot of vibration, so you don't want that to slip on you as it's spinning, because it will turn and jam itself literally on that shaft, and it's an act of God to take that apart. Okay, so that part's in. So what needs to happen now is we need to put the intake body on, so very carefully as not to damage the seal, and actually go on the long way here. Very carefully, we'll take that at an angle and just cautiously get that seal to go through this. That could be a little bit of an issue here because it's being a little tight. But very gently put that guy in there. This may be fun because this is yet again a brand new seal, so I have some issue with this, and you don't really want to go sideways on anything with these seals because they can get damaged very easily. So, but that is kind of what I'm having an issue with right now, is the actual seal. So here is a good time to use lube. Any kind of lube will help. I happen to have a leftover bottle of assembly lube from an engine rebuild, so we're going to use this stuff. I'm going to coat generously around this seal. Okay. And I'm also going to coat other areas, mainly because I want it to slide easily and not give me any problems. So I'm going to coat this housing. And any area that's going to have a seal or an O-ring to it, or O-ring type gasket, I'm going to coat with this oil. I'm going to do the same thing on the O-rings. And mainly it's to help make a good seal when I go to put this stuff together. I don't have an O-ring on this side, so what I wound up having to do was put a layer of silicone on there. Just kind of make my own in a sense, and I did this about a week or so ago. That way I gave it ample time to dry, and what it is the silicone protrudes up, so when I do bolt this together, it will crush into place and create a good seal. Maybe a one-time use kind of thing, but you know, things better than nothing, because the old seal was definitely shot. Alright, so here we are with this. We are going to try to push this through here. Hopefully I can. Let's turn this upside down, because once it's through the rod, I can just carefully put it through the other way. Unless I got the wrong connecting rod here, which I doubt. I think it's just gaskets that gaskets is so fresh that I kind of work it. Alright, so what I'm gonna do here before I damage this thing, since it's not going to go through there, is actually debating on this. Let me see here, because I really want to be careful with this. These little gaskets, or this seal, can get messed up really easily, so you don't want to put too much pressure on it. I'm gonna lube this cylinder wall up, and I'm gonna do at that point is I'm gonna put it over this gasket, and that'll get my pre-crush going. This is supposed to, if I remember, oh, it doesn't matter, because like I said, we're just doing the pre-crush. So the cylinder wall is going to go in like this. Let's use this side. So the cylinder wall is going to go in like this, and I'm just going to help seal. Okay. Mm-hmm. Did you? Where'd you guys go? Oh, okay. Alright, well, we'll go rest. Well, that's a good thing. No snakes, no coyotes. Or mountain lions. Ooh, see, we're already tearing into that. Well, that means either people had dogs and they don't clean up after themselves, or you got wildlife, which, not gonna doubt wildlife. No, that's not really too surprising. Yeah, well, it is wildland area. Very sure you're gonna get some of those. Okay, so there we go. There's our seal, and that's our initial crush. I'm making a video on how to rebuild one of these compressors. So, let's try to see. Ooh, that did get a little messed up. Jeez. Well, let's hope that seals, because these things are a pain in the butt. Pre-sealing or pre-crushing these is a big help to this. You just have to be really careful, because the seals are really soft. Okay, so that gets our valve plate into place, and that needs to get bolted in. Let me grab a paper towel here to wipe my fingers off. We'll see, I didn't mess this up already, because I did kind of chunk that just a tiny bit. No, that's okay. It'll create a seal. Alright, so we'll test this. We'll plug it in and make sure it works. So let's put these screws in here real quick. This is all metric, now that I remember, so you get the right size here. Get these started. Seal compressor would be a good thing to use in this case. I don't have one that's small. Well, you could probably take like a hose clamp and a piece of plastic material and do it that way. So the bottom two bolts here that I was working on dealing with actually need to wait. Although I'm not gonna worry about the mounting foot right now. I'll take those bolts back off and put that. But there's a mounting foot that actually goes here in front of these two bolts. Which actually, with that said, oh, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me look here real quick. Two shorter. There's two and two. There's two that are short and there's two that are long. Unless they're all going to be the same. Okay, no, that one's a wee bit longer. And that one I think is a wee bit shorter. Okay, so the two short ones go on top, and the two long ones go on the bottom to hold the mounting foot in place. Let me check. Let me pop this one out real quick. We know that's a shorty because it definitely doesn't line up with the other bolt. Try to get the camera angle in here and you can see what I'm doing. Like I said, that silicone is going to compress, so once I tighten these up, that's exactly what's going to happen. Okay, so I got one there. And let me get this one started. Actually, I probably will just debating on leaving the bottom ones out. I'm gonna test this. And what that is I'm just gonna put a fitting on the end of the head. That's gonna have a gauge and just a dump valve or a little hand valve that I can open up to release the pressure. Okay, so yep, exactly what I said I was doing. That's the long one. I don't know why I've got two size long ones for the bottom, but the longer ones go to the bottom. So it doesn't matter how long they are, those go to the bottom. This might be a replacement too, because one of them does not look original. I think I may have had to get another one at some point. These are Allens, so if you do crank them too much, they probably will strip the Allen socket out. One common thing with these type of bolts is torque. If you get too much, you can mess up the bolt real easily. Good quality Allen wrench is a big must too. Where are we at now in this video? We are, holy crap, 17 minutes in. Man, I don't want this to be a long video, but it might be. So let me hurry up so we can cut this down. I'll try to get this under 20 minutes. Of course, without videotaping, I can probably do this in 10. I've taken these apart faster, but we are videoing, so that makes a little bit of a difference here. I'm trying to explain things more to you. So I'm just going to double check these to make sure they're tight and see what I mean about that strip thing. That one's already starting to walk. Okay, so now there's that. And if I remember correctly, these kind of go, no, this goes downward. Yeah, that goes downward, and then this seals up against this with another O-ring. Now they've conveniently included a couple of those. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to put a little bit of oil assembly lubricant here. I'm going to take one of these lovely O-rings, and it goes onto here. Okay, so I won't be able to put that in until I actually put the head together. And the same thing here, I'm going to put a little bit of oil. I love that stuff, it's really smoothie. A little bit of oil, doesn't hurt nothing. And we'll do the same thing on the gaskets, we'll lubricate them. These are silicone type gaskets, O-rings, whatever. But rule of thumb on anything O-ring related is you never put them in dry, so it's going to go wet. So here's what we're going to do. I need to hold this. Okay, that's our new cylinder wall. Is this the one with the groove in it? It is, so that's our old one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this here, like this, and I'm going to insert it into here. Now, the side with the threads is actually the back side, and this closed side here is the open side. And now this has to line up pretty much like that. You see the cutout in there? It lines up just like that with that, so we did the same thing. So what's going to happen here is we're going to put this on top of there, and we're going to slide her in to the deal here. That way we're held into place. And we're just kind of rotate until it pops in. It's got two little tabs there that hold it into place. I may have to rotate this a little bit. Or not. Actually, I think it's in there. Okay. So we are in place. There. So what needs to happen now is we need to put one of these rings into cylinder bore. Okay, just like that, and we'll take our old cylinder wall and we'll push that into there just to make sure it seals. Now if that doesn't go in there the way it's supposed to be, and I'm kind of thinking it's not, this will cause feedback issues, but I kind of believe that it's in place. I'm just trying to look at the top here. Yeah, it's in place. And I think I just dropped my gasket, so let me find that real quick. There it is. Though now that hit the floor, so let me wipe it clean and we'll re-lubricate it. Alright, I know, long lengthy videos. Phone's not liking the GoPro app. It is actually telling me that I'm going to kill the battery here really soon. Okay, so we'll just drop that in there. Now our new cylinder, we're going to lubricate it. That might be a little bit of an issue there too. No, they're about the same. Okay. We're going to lubricate the new cylinder. We're going to put the O-ring on that. This one will stay, so I'm not totally worried about that. I'm going to re-lubricate the inside. I'm going to re-lubricate this. A little bit goes a long way. Well, now that I got that here, let's look at that seal. Yeah, not too bad. It'll still seal. Yeah, it just got a little bit there. Just on the edge. That's all it was. Okay, so we'll be fine with that. Although, however, I will start on that bad side, just to eliminate doing any further damage to the rest of it. And then you just have to kind of slightly, carefully, with your fingers, press and walk these around so that they go into place correctly. Okay, so that one's pretty much in there. Alright, that's in place. O-ring didn't quite want to stay. Might give us a wee bit of an issue here, so let's grab that with a screwdriver. Let's just drop that into the hole here, or into the well where it's got to go. Make sure it's on the ledge correctly. Okay. Now we're going to drop this into place. There it is. Nice and sealed. And then the same thing, we'll make sure that's lubricated. And this was marked to show which direction it goes. Like I said, there's two little notches here that line up with these. So when you do put them in, they should line up and drop into place. And you may have to turn it until you hear it drop in. And that just did. That just didn't actually. So let me rotate her. Okay, so that's in. That's in right there. And now what I'm going to do is, since we know that goes that way, easiest way to assemble this is we'll put it at sideways, and that'll keep our plate from coming out. Actually, we can turn the compressor upside down. Yep, just like that. Compressor head is in place, and then our torquing will actually lock these into place. So we're almost done. We are almost done. Need to get, I believe, a bigger size Allen for these. You might be tempted to use an impact gun or an impact driver on these. Don't. Whole assembly is aluminum. Over torquing will destroy your head and cylinder assembly. So you don't want to do that at all. And when you go to torque these down, you want to do them, of course, in a star pattern. It's a compressor head, so it's not crazy, but we probably want to torque these. I'm trying to think here. They don't give me a spec on this, but you just go around in the star pattern until you're pretty well snug, and then just probably a quarter turn each, tighter, even pressure. Remember, these are all O-ring type seals, so you want to be careful. Like I said, star pattern. I'm thinking what I'll probably do is torque these at 25 foot-pounds. Then that should solve that. So this whole thing, even though it's not going to be fully against that, it's going to be extruded a little bit because of the seals. Grab off my box here. We've got sockets, and let's see here. Find one that works. Yeah, that one's about there. Alright, now we need a torque wrench. Now we need this size. Craftsman torque wrench, the cheapy $20 specials from the what do we call it? These are the cheapy $20 specials from the days when Sears has their sales, and these things are garbage. Okay, so that's about 25. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to come around here. Kind of thinking 25 might be a bit tight. Yeah, it seems to be too much. What I'm going to do is I'm going to drop to 20. Okay, still seems to be too much. So that's 15. Okay, so what I'm going to do is we're going to go to 15. I'm just calling that because it does appear to be a bit tight for it to be 25. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to back these off. And the reason I say that is because they are screwing into aluminum. You don't want to over tighten shit when you're going into aluminum. So we're going to re-snug them. Okay. Everything has a torque value in life. Keep that in mind. So even if there's not a spec, there's something. So what we're going to do is we're going to do that. There's 15. And the reason I'm torquing is actually because it's even pressure. If you do it by hand, you may get close, but it's not even. Whereas when you torque, it's even tension across all 4 bolts. So the bottom ones don't matter, but the head does. Okay, so there's 15. All right, and that is a compressor rebuild on these. I'm going to end this video here because we're almost 30 minutes in. We're right now at 29 minutes and 23 seconds in. So that's the rebuild on the compressor. Like I said, you are going to see a wee bit of a gap here. That is normal because it's the seals and stuff compressing. So, and these are pulling against those seals. We're going to hang on to these old parts as extras. We won't need this anymore because that's pretty much toast. But that was the whole reason of failure on this thing. It still ran and went up and down, but it wasn't compressing because the reed valve was shot. So that's the rebuild on a Viar 480C. Please comment, like, and subscribe, and share with friends. And thanks for watching.